Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They are claiming that you are this third person. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. Sailor Green, pioneer of space development, is revealed to be just another fabulous cur. I have one question for the likes of you. So I said you off quickly or very quickly. Evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this. Fine, I'll tell you the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. White. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Army, and once he arrives, he fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. And I went past the elevator and all the way around to boarding lounge 1 again. I came up behind Detective Army and pretended to be the second on the scene. Troublesome little man you are. Such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then, are you still insinuating that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am. When I arrived at the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness.
Hold it!
Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Black Horse saw was you. No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I like to cover for Starbuck? I would just leave him to take the fall. It is an excellent point. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was told to invent an escape route for a third person. Well, it makes some sense if you told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck. Still, a lie's a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit. What is the proof? I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackwell said she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct? Yes. And? Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate me. The director is not fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So, you're claiming that Miss Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m. And then you arrived at the lounge after that. Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackwell saw. Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure than less of a person. And I couldn't actually see her face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an earthling. As long as he has an alibi, we can't very well claim Director Cosmos was the killer. No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really coming from Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw. Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door, and well, the lounge had one door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. So you were shot by the killer as well, and then they disappeared. Yes, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a that must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured. Wait, I thought the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Army's bullet, remember? Right. What a mess this is turning into. So let's see. Director Cosmos claiming that when he found Mr. Taryn and his killer, the culprit fired a .10 caliber bullet at him. Right, but it actually hit Mr. Taryn's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And then the killer disappeared and the director went into the boarding lounge. When Detective Army caught up and fired those warning shots at him, judging by his medal, it looked like one of them almost took him out too. Good summary, but it doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Dr. Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared. I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeked back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I went into the lounge straight away to investigate. But what I found was Taryn with a knife in his chest and Starbuck out cold on the floor. So we have a culprit who vanished from a scene that had no escape route. Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the greatest mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence!
A riddle of the ages indeed, but I'd rather know how a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great. A great man is always misunderstood in his own time, but he must remain true to himself even if those around him don't understand. Well, that might be the first true statement he's said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly? Simple. Because it was Space Boy himself. When he was spotted by the director and R, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter evidence. Dr. Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor? No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room. That wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender, alright, Donor? I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. White, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a Capuni of discord. This means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I don't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, it had vanished into thin air. Got it! You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air. I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen usually. And yet, at that time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence. What? Why are you... I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea where they went, isn't that right? What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond the launchpad door was full of smoke, making it impassable. As for the southern door... I was saying right there. So there's nowhere for the killer to run to. Maybe. Or maybe not. You went into the room stuck on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Taryn, yes? What if the culprit looked the opportunity to silently step out through the southern door? I highly doubt it, as you recall right after I entered the lounge. Detective Army came rushing towards it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone tried to escape through there would have been caught by her. And yet the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished? So you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use? It's working, boss. One more punt and it'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more motion that's at odds with his testimony. Go get him! Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory. I tried to enter the lounge. The true killer inside fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door. And well, I lost pad one door. Got it! Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launch pad door. The great city Cosmos afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation? Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it. I'm most certainly not. Director Cosmos, there's something about the launchpad door you're not telling us, is there? Ah! Oh, he's speechless. Looks like you hit that nail on the head, boss. I'll just input those two pieces of data and... Yes! That's what I want to see. First the chainsaw, last Discord. Looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. Let's make sense of what we've learned. Dr. Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launch pad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launch pad one door. We'll put these two pieces together, and one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Dr. Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here? Take that! The culprit went through the launchpad window to escape, didn't they? Yes. I mean, no. Disaster to stop on. We're going to crash into an asteroid! Listen, you are not. But the area beyond that door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True. But this is the only logical answer there is. And we can just figure out what the director is hiding about the launchpad one door. We should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies. That door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Taryn, and I have access. I see how the killer could open that security lock, do you? That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge meeting. There's a way he could have easily gotten past that security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock. Take that! That's... Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious down the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gone past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen. Ah! Looks like he does have something to hide about the launchpad one door. I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? Huh? Oh, yes, by all means. There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1. right? The one that will quote the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? If the true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, your baldness. I beg your pardon. Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh my! The footage cuts off! The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There's no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens. And I thought I was such a good idea, too. Just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery. It doesn't mean you should try to show off too much, Grandpa Baldness. Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know my grandchild? His grandchild listened to love about the harshness of the adult ward. Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Dr. Cosmos, can you tell us more about when you entered the lounge? If I must. I hid to avoid getting shot. After the kill advanced, I went into the lounge. But that's when Detective Army appeared from the elevator side door. And then the detective shot at me. Dr. Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Army found you and again when she fired? Isn't it a bit unnatural? Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion. Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what were you surprised by? Pardon me? First you were surprised when Detective Army found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were, of course, again surprised when she shot at you. But considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprise reaction is the fact that you are... Sure, you were surprised when Detective Army shot at you, but the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than by being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whether it was you. Suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there. The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence operation hide under your desk. Ah! Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launch pad door. whatever he's hiding more likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If you assume something suspicious around that door. Maybe we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. This is footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived. And this is how the door looked after Director Moore entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. Director Cosmos. What is it? What have you been up to over there? Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Army found you, that's what. And the answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation. Ridiculous. We do have an answer. You have pointed it out already. He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident. Take that! The answer is this knob. That's... Your Honor, please take a look at this footage. Let's see. Take a look at the knob next to the launchpad door. As you can see, it's horizontal. Yes, it is, isn't it? However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical. And what does that mean? It means that sometime between before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob. Ah! After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos. Let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door? Fine, I admit it. You're right, I did turn that knob. The knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launchpad in play. I was afraid there would be more explosions. So I want to move the launchpad away. You want to do what? Hey, didn't Honko tell us nothing about how they prepared for launch? He said that once the launchpad's fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. The safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first. I guess that goes up what that knob is for. Oh, so the killer escaped into the launchpad one corridor. Maybe they were transferred along with the launchpad to the launch site. I don't think so. The launchpad one corridor was full of smoke. I don't think the killer escaped through that corridor. So then, who did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we need to uncover. Director Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launchpad in more detail. Fine. Listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony. I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. Got it! I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so. And yet, when you did it, you felt some joy as if you were pleased with yourself. Ah! How do you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there? Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So, care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda. How do you know about that too? Because I'm more or less a pro? Not guessing? But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda. If I did, I would never ever tell you, so there. I know they say people grow grass as they grow older, but you sure take the cake. And how could you doubt a man of such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity? man of integrity. Don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackwell? What came over him all of a sudden? You spouted nothing but falsity since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that would be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatness a bare-faced liar and honor. This was quite harder than his blade. Moved launchpad one after the explosions. My, how naive you are. You fail to realize this, how even the facts themselves have betrayed you. You know, there's a thought that modern English can be a friend. Here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding rounds. One side, the police can focus on school scenes. What? So that means the director didn't move the launch pad? Of course, my judgment for calling history's greatest letter to the witness stand. Let's leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content.
Objection!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to. Aha! So it must have went somewhere. We just might find out. The arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or you're not man enough to, boy. Ha! Talk about hitting below the belt. Young these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. Knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge. The launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob, not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And after the incident, Dr. Cousins moved it back to its usual spot. All he had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. Aha! Made him sightless like Mr. Starbuck. Was what I said really that off base? It pains me to have to explain how long your own launch gives you, however. Our greatest lad turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge, when our Astro Wonders made their escape. In fact, that has been recorded for posterity on filmless film. Alright. So to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is, boy. Quit, Mr. White, and focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved. Deductions and the actual facts in the case are in direct contradictions to each other. Well, maybe the two astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken by that was after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched, even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket? Hey, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe. Huh? Prosecutor Blackwell! What if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? And what if when the director moved launch pad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Got the accidental ball or I'll cut you. Mr. Right, you explain yourself at once. No, I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor. Let me explain. Director Cosmo's reason for moving Launchpad 1 was... because he wanted to switch it with some other place. I'm sorry. Did you say switch it? What could he possibly have switched the launch pad with? Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with the launch pad 1. Take that! Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum. In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad number 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1. It can even be moved to the launch site. Meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad I-1 can also be switched with each other. You can't mean... The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one in Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum. What? Balderdash! And yet it's the only explanation that accounts for every weirdo and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places. That's right. There's the two switches like this. The astronauts entered the Space Museum from boarding lounge 1. This led the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from boarding lounge number 2. And set the bomb on the rocket. To think of it, the door to the Space Museum from boarding lounge 2. Welcome, welcome. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Exactly. Anyone could pass through the door to the Space Museum. There's no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. Gah! After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into boarding lounge 1 and waited there concealed. In order to kill Mr. Terran when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Miss Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw suspicious figure, who we can suppose after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape to the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmo switched the two launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clear getaway. I don't know. I see you know how to handle a sword and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence!
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword. That's right, you have no proof I switched the launch pads. Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. The launch pads really were switched. Might be a record of it somewhere. At this point, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other. So the corridor beyond the door should be the one that belongs to the Space Museum. Let's see, this is an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Do you see anything different when we compare it to the security footage? Huh? That number on the floor! Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. This is just another bluff. Oh, don't worry. It's all right here. Why did this footage? Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum. Very well then. Answer this for me if you would. What in this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum?
Take that!
There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Take a look at the floor of the corridor of the security footage. You see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2. What? Why is it 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum. Gah! So that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke. That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the side opposite the Space Museum. And now that we know the 2 astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, the mystery from the previous story of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Taryn, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level. That's incredible! The 2 launch pads were actually switched? I think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude. Everyone was down in the basement center when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. No more lies, Attack Director Cosmos. It's high time. You told us the truth. My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Capture the flame with your weapon. Galactic engine. It won't stop. My stars, my glory. Bailiff, on your steed, and after that witness. I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm. Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads? I admit it's true. I switched launch pads 1 for the Space Museum. It is as good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, 2 things. First, we don't know if Mr. Turan had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Turan would have realized it since he stepped into the Space Museum. That had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Taryn feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the 2 launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say, my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh? Excuse me, Would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I'm nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff, help the director retrieve his stars. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it? What don't you get? Director, why did you do all that? In the very beginning, you never meant for the launch to go ahead, did you? You tricked us! Mr. Starbuck. Starbuck, my boy. Sorry. I can't tell you the reason why. I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director! Will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy. Then the dream is still alive.
Silence!
You're not going into space, Starbuck. But prison, I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept that the launch pads really were switched. If there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum. Oh, that's a good point! He's right. I don't have any proof. Starbuck, you will spill everything you know. What? Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now! If you don't, my blade shall feast on your blood. But don't die. I want to die in space. I have to do something. Solomon Starbuck. Prepare yourself. Hey, no violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. That annoying, cheerful laugh. It can be none other than... Champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright. Here in justice we trust. Detective Fulbright. Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a cat fight. I tell you, this is so is a full-time job. Was it a fight between cats or... Why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit. I came to make sure that justice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright. I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed? No, but it looks like you succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? To think of it, you did say something about finding us some evidence. Thanks to you two, I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think he was serious though. So what is it, detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed. Have a look at this. What's this? A lighter? That's right. A lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood along with his killer's fingerprints on it. What? Gah! Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant? You bet Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent! This is it. This is just what I needed. Your Honor, this is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim. Explain yourself, Mr. White. With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can accelerate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with lighter in hand into the Space Museum, where they dropped it. The switching of the two launch pads occurred. Then finally, the killer left the boarding lounge 2 and made it their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in boarding lounge 1 after the murder. The fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
Silence!
Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw the mysterious figure with a lighter, he went into the lounge and found unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had the time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could only have been dropped by the real killer. Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit. This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims. As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. No, there must be some mistake. Thankfully, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Fulbright, you promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent, in light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime. A few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, not guilty. Yes! We did it, Mr. White! Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. White, Miss Sykes, thank you. Please thank Apollo for me, too. You are all the best. I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too. But that's going to have to wait. Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong. Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict? Fulbright, What were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Huh? The results? Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that cat fight, and, well, I kinda got carried away when I heard the prince want Mr. Starbucks, so... You have yet to read it? Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prince belonged to? Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes. So says the report. What? What? Huh? Me? Order, I say! Order! Miss Sykes, tell me you have an explanation for this. We just finished proving that this lighter could only belong to the killer. So finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion. I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece. I don't think any of our reasonings were faulty. So how could it have led to this? What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, stop your crying. What in the world is happening here? Detective Ward's gone mad. Order! Order! I will have order! Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and into the jaws of a twisted darkness.